If you follow the process in this video correctly, there is a real possibility that the person you currently believe yourself to be will begin disappearing. Not metaphorically, not philosophically, but physically. Because enlightenment is not adopting a spiritual belief, it's not about positive thinking, it's not about becoming peaceful, it's not understanding some deep idea about reality. It's the direct experience that there is no separate self inside of your body. And the terrifying part is that this can actually be verified, not through religion or faith or blind belief, but through direct experience. In this video, I'm going to show you the two most powerful forms of self-inquiry for realizing no self. Not theories or philosophy, but actual practices that can begin dissolving the feeling of being a separate self inside of the body. And if you do these practices long enough, something very strange starts happening. Your body begins feeling hollow. The sense of being located behind the eyes starts weakening. And eventually, if the inquiry becomes deep enough, you can literally feel yourself disappear from inside the body. That is the first real sign that enlightenment is beginning. But here's the important part. This is not a logical conclusion you arrive at. You cannot think your way into enlightenment. You experience the absence of self directly. And once that happens, you cannot ever fully unsee it. The first type of self-inquiry is what I call asking and looking. This is the more analytical form of inquiry, but if you do it correctly, eventually it pushes you beyond thought completely. The goal is not to find the self, the goal is to fail to find it. And that sounds strange until you actually try it honestly. Right now, you probably feel like you exist somewhere inside the head, somewhere behind the eyes, somewhere between the ears, like there's a center point where all perceptions converge. That assumption feels so obvious that almost nobody questions it. But now look carefully. What exactly is there? Not what you think is there, what is actually there in direct experience. If you cut off an arm, are you still you? Obviously, yes. But what about a leg? Yeah, probably, still yes. What about a heart transplant? Still yes. People have had entire sections of their brains removed and they've still remained psychologically coherent. So where exactly is this you located? Eventually, the mind retreats to a final answer. It says, well, I'm the awareness inside of the head where all of the perceptions converge to. Okay, now look for that. Not think about it, but actually look. Where is this convergence point? Can you actually find it, or do thoughts merely create images of one? This is where the inquiry starts to become dangerous to the illusion of the self, because you eventually begin to realize something deeply unsettling. The self is usually made out of only three things: a mental image of the face or body, a sensation in the body, and thoughts saying words like me, I, or my. That's it. And the moment you see that clearly, a massive problem appears. Because if the I is itself just another thought, then who exactly is having that thought? Look carefully. A thought appears saying, I am thinking. But isn't that also just another thought appearing? Can you find the thinker separate from the thought, or only another thought claiming to be the thinker? This is the trap that almost everyone misses. Thought creates the illusion of the thinker by constantly referring to one. But referring to something does not prove it exists. A movie can mention Batman, but that does not make Batman real. And in the exact way, thought constantly references a fictional character called a me. But when you actually look for this me, you only find more thoughts and sensations and mental images, but never an actual entity. And this is where self-inquiry stops becoming philosophy and starts becoming experiential, because the illusion of self is not only mental, it's physical as well. You feel like you're located inside the body, which brings us to the second form of self-inquiry, and this one is less analytical and much more direct. Instead of questioning thoughts, you place awareness into awareness itself. And this sounds confusing until you try it. Right now, put attention on your foot. Feel the sensation directly, but now move the attention to your hand and notice how awareness can rest there too. Now comes the strange part. Turn awareness backwards, not onto an object, not onto sensation, but onto awareness itself. At first, this feels almost impossible because awareness has become fused with bodily sensation over your entire life. And the emptiness of awareness and the feeling of the body are merged together like this, so the practice is to learn to separate them. You are trying to feel into the empty aware space underneath the sensation itself. And if you stay with this long enough, something very strange begins to happen. The body starts to feel less solid, less personal, almost hollow, like sensations are simply floating in empty space instead of belonging to someone. This is one of the first major signs that the practice is actually working, because not that you've actually arrived at some intellectual conclusion, but because your nervous system is beginning to stop identifying with the body as self. And eventually, if the inquiry becomes deep enough, there may come a moment where you physically feel yourself disappearing. Not metaphorically, but literally. Your heart may start racing, fear may arise, because the mind interprets the collapse of identity as death. And in a way, it is death, but not physical death, psychological death. The death of the imaginary center you've spent your entire life assuming was you. And what makes this realization so shocking is that when the self begins disappearing, experience does not disappear with it. Seeing remains, hearing remains, thoughts remain, the room remains, the body remains, but the sense that all of this belongs to a person starts to collapse. And that's why enlightenment can't really be understood conceptually. You can understand every word in this video and still not be enlightened, because enlightenment is not agreeing with an idea. It's directly experiencing the absence of self. And this takes a lot of practice. For most people, it's not something that happens after watching one video. You're trying to undo decades of conditioning. You spent your entire life reinforcing the feeling that you are a separate entity located inside of a body. That conditioning runs deep, so if you genuinely want to realize this, you need consistency. Usually at least an hour every single day, for weeks, months, or even years. Not because enlightenment is far away, but because the illusion is deeply habitual. Thinking about the self is not self-inquiry. Looking for the self is self-inquiry. And if you keep looking honestly, eventually something starts to break. Not reality or the body, but the illusion. The false assumption that there's a separate person sitting at the center of experience. And here's the final twist. The one trying to become enlightened is also part of the illusion. The secret itself is another appearance inside awareness, which means enlightenment is not the self becoming free, it is the recognition that the self was never there in the first place. You were never the voice in your head trying to awaken. You were never the mental image behind the eyes. You were never the psychological character struggling towards enlightenment. You were the empty field in which all of it appeared. The thoughts appeared in it, the fear appeared in it, the seeking appeared in it, the feeling of being a person appeared in it. And one day, if you look closely enough, that person may disappear too.